and how, what's your skills? What do you do for a living or for a hobby? And I'm impressed with you. I watched your movie last night, Church People. I thought it was fabulous. My wife and I laughed all the way through. And it's a deep story. There's a lot of twists and turns, and it's beautiful. So I want to know how. I have questions for you about this movie
Okay.
later on, but we'll save that for later. But yeah, go ahead and explain. You live in California, but you're from Ohio.
Correct. I grew up in Ohio in a very small, it's not even a city or a town, it's the village of Plainfield, Ohio.
Oh,
Less,
okay.
yeah, less than 200 people. It's in a county called Coshocton County, which
Yes.
is also a city in Ohio. Are you familiar with Coshocton?
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
heard
I
of it?
am. Yeah,
Okay.
of
All right.
course.
And went to went to Otterbein College, which is now Otterbein University. And I was a Bachelor of Fine Arts theater performance major because when I was a kid watching movies, I wanted to be a movie star. So that was my big dream. Went to college for acting. And then over the years, I found myself more and more behind the camera and enjoying it more. So now acting is a kind of a sporadic hobby, if you will. Whereas my passion now is directing and creative producing. So that's what I like to do now. I so shortly after college, in late 1994, I moved to Southern California initially, and I was there for a few years or so. And then I got involved with a ministry down there that relocated to Northern California, and that's what brought me to Northern California. And so, yeah, started doing the 168 Film Project in 2008. Did that several times, including last year, and that's what really helped get me involved in filmmaking and meet people and collaborate with people, and it was a great experience.
So based on the movie we saw yesterday, the wife and I, you have a lot of there's so many deep themes in that, and that's what I like about. And you directed. I mean, it must not be easy to direct, or you probably have the knack for it. But I can see that the characters actually growing as it went along. Especially, I'm not going to give anything away, but the end of the movie was so touching. It brought me to tears. What it was
Oh, thank
about.
you.
So I'm not gonna give that away. But you have to see this movie, Church People, and it's kind of like the promo is says a lot. Are we going out of control? Or are we going to bring it back in? And you kind
Yeah,
of get that out of there, and it continues in the movie. And not all people are perfect, and that's what I liked about it. Nobody's perfect on there.
just
So
Jesus.
yeah, that's right, exactly. And you
and
have
and
other,
that's
yeah. Go ahead.
and that's the big question that church people ask: is the gospel enough?
Yes.
Spoiler alert: yes, it is. but the characters in the movie need to discover that, and so it's done through the vehicle of satire, humor, and yeah, there's a great redemptive arc for several characters in the film.
Absolutely. And the thing I was really impressed because I'm like a million miles away from Hollywood or things like that, but you had some heavy hitters in this movie, in my opinion. The Baldwin brothers, and you had China Phillips. Thor Ramsey was fantastic as for a comedian to do that. And
Yeah, that was his first feature length film as the lead actor. He was number one on the call sheet.
incredible job. He did excellent. So yeah, you got to go see this movie. It's fantastic. It's heartwarming, and it will pull your heartstrings a little bit at the
Well,
end.
thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
It's the kind of movie my wife and I love to watch. Those kind of things. So I'm looking forward to more. And okay, confession. I ordered this the day before. Uh, Actually, it came in the day before yesterday. I watched it right away. It's like I got to watch this. I like to be informed before my guests come on, right? So
Right.
I appreciate that. So I had to see the real thing instead of like, oh, I'm not going to guess. Guessing is wrong. You always got to do your homework, right? Do your homework first. Also, the scenery. You had so many scenes. It was like it's like some people they do this and they only like have like 4 or 5 scenes, but this was really deep. And the church was huge.
Well, yeah, and fun fact, we shot, I would say, 95 or more % of the film either at or near that megachurch grounds. We shot it at Westlake. We shot it in Westlake Village at Westlake Community Church, and they were fantastic. They bent over backwards for us, and they were wonderful to collaborate with. And I even attended church services there during
Really?
pre-production and production of the film. And solid fellowship. So yeah, but yeah, the vast majority of the film was shot on or very, very near the church grounds.
Awesome. The people, the situations. I could talk about this forever, but the situations and some things were like ridiculous. Like they're going to do this. I loved it. So, but the surprise was awesome. You know, it was a gift to us. Just saying, we really felt that.
Well, awesome. Thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot. It's certainly meant to be entertaining and also communicate that yes, indeed, the gospel is enough. Jesus is enough, and it basically just it highlights some of the wacky methodologies and ideologies that some people in Christendom have.
Yes.
And, you know, the bottom line is you don't need the bells and whistles when it comes to presenting the gospel. You just need the gospel.
Exactly.
It's the power of the gospel.
That's right. And that's why it's the gospel. And, you know, some people, they go too far. A lot of African-American churches, they turn more showy and they have to have dynamics, if you know what I mean. And
yeah,
it's not necessary. The word itself is like a two-edged sword. So, and
I read that somewhere.
Yeah, right. You did. I don't know where you read it, but
yeah. And for those of you watching who don't know, if you go to my website, ChristopherShawnShaw.com, you can see the trailer there. It's easy, and it's easy to find the movie. The movie's streaming on multiple platforms. If you have Great American Pure Flix or Tubi or, you know, Amazon Prime, you can find it in numerous places.
That's right. I like your website. It's pretty cool. It's nice.
Thank you.
Anyway, tell us what your next projects are, and I'm very looking forward to seeing those as well, or your past projects.
Well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to make more. We've been running into what I like to call the filmmaker's F word, funding. Yeah, it took several years to land the funding for church people, and it's been taking several years to land the funding for the next one. I mean, Thor Ramsey was one of the writers on Church People, and he and I have, golly, somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 or so scripts that need funding. So there's plenty of material out there. Just need the green to get her done.
How does that work? I'm very curious about this. You just start to raise your own money, or how do you do that?
Well, it depends. I mean, it happens different ways. You can do traditional equity investors. You can do crowdfunding. We tried to do crowdfunding with Church People, and that didn't quite work. Kind of a big budget to do crowdfunding with, but you know, people have done it. I mean, The Chosen raised like $10 or $11 million for season 1, so you can do it. It's just it's not as simple as throwing together a crowdfunding campaign video and putting it online and just waiting for everybody to swarm in and give money. But we were fortunate enough Do you know who Mike Lindell is, the My
Yes,
Pillow guy?
I've been on a podcast with him. Yes.
Yeah. What did you catch his cameo in the film?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
he funded the movie.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
so of course he got a cameo in the film, and
Right.
it came when you least expected it,
Yes.
and it was a nice little comic relief when you least expected it. And it worked really well. But yeah, Mike Lindell funded the film, and he was really good friends with Stephen Baldwin. Stephen Baldwin was one of the first actors
Oh,
who came onto the film, and he was instrumental in helping us get the funding because he was friends with Mike, and Mike liked the project, and they wanted to make a movie together. And so that's the very, very long story short.
so you're
So
very
that's
wise to put Steven in the movie. So
well, and how I met Steven was on social media.
yeah.
I was so what we did in what Thor and I did and a group of people in 2010. We shot a proof of concept trailer. Like, this is what the movie could look like if we had the funding. So we did a mock trailer, and some people thought the movie was actually made when they saw the trailer that we did, but
Really?
it wasn't. Yeah, you can find that if you go to youth group proof of concept trailer on YouTube. Just type in the search engine youth group proof of concept trailer, because that was the original title of the film, Youth Group. We actually shot it under that title, and the title changed after we shot it. But yeah, Youth Group proof of concept trailer, and you can see the proof of concept that I blasted all over social media. And again, long story short, Stephen Baldwin saw it and was
Wow.
interested in helping us find the money for it. And I think he came on board in 2013, and 3.5 years later, cameras were rolling on a fully funded film.
Incredible.
So it was
First
not
people, like,
overnight. It was not overnight, and it took a while. It's been, as a matter of fact, when I met my wife, it was 2011, and so this project has been in the background and sometimes in the forefront of our relationship ever since I've known her. So
hey, I did pull that up. Yes. Interesting. Um, yeah, that's okay. So you got lucky, sort of, or you were blessed with the opportunity.
we were very
Lucky,
blessed.
yeah.
I
Yes.
totally believe the hand of God is the reason this movie got made. I mean, I totally believe that. Just the way it came together, yeah, hand of God. Um, I don't have any other explanation for how the movie got made.
Okay. So I things like this happen, the miracles happen, and things, for a reason. And so I think the message was the biggest reason for this. And whatever else you do, if you do it for God, then yeah, it comes out. God can make it happen. Same thing with
Amen.
the other film producer, or yeah, filmmaker company, for the World War II. They're trying to get through theirs too. So I kind of understand a little bit about it with their fundraising and crowdfunding and all that. But I can't imagine that that's got to be one of the hardest things to do on your own.
Oh yeah, I mean, crowdfunding is an army team effort. I mean, like, if you're doing it on your own, I don't believe in luck, but you almost want to say good luck, you know, because it's like it's a full-time job to
Yeah.
crowdfund, especially if you're doing it on your own. So yeah, if you're wanting to endeavor in any kind of crowdsourcing or crowdfunding, you're going to want to have a team around you who is passionate about the project as well, who helps you share it and stuff. Otherwise, I mean, like, again, back when we had the proof of concept trailer for church people, um, I probably annoyed a number of people with as much as I was sharing it. I know I embarrassed Thor, the star of the movie, the writer of the original drafts of the screenplay. I annoyed him, or not annoyed him. I embarrassed him because I was sharing it constantly. And I mean, I'd go in spurts. I'd share it a lot, and then it'd die down, and I wouldn't share it. But then I'd share it, and I was sending it to people left and right. I mean,
Really?
I try. Oh
Okay.
yeah, I tried to get it to Jimmy Fallon, Steve Martin. I mean, you name it. Celebrity pastors, non-celebrity pastors. I was just sharing it all over social media, and on Twitter at the time, adding them and saying, "Hey, would you share this?" And every once in a while somebody would reply, and Stephen Baldwin was one of the ones who replied.
That's incredible. That's got to be God there. So
I totally agree. I sent I was doing it from the youth group movie Twitter account, and I sent him a proof of concept trailer, and I just basically said, would you retweet this? And I think it was within less than an hour, if I'm not mistaken, there was a tweet back to that account that basically said, "Who do I speak with directly to see how I can best support your vision for this project?" And I think it was the next morning I was reading an email from Steven that basically said, "I've been looking for filmmakers with the right comic sensibility to do something just like this." And then
wow.
that eventually turned into a phone call, and that eventually turned into an in-person meeting that lasted almost 3 hours. And, but again, this wasn't overnight. I mean, like I said, he came
Right.
on board as a producer trying to help find funding for the project in 2013. And it was the middle of 2016 when we were shooting. And then it still wasn't an overnight process because we shot it in 20 days, but it didn't release in theaters until 2021. So almost 5 years later, it finally comes out in theaters. And then it was like another year before it was on DVD. So it's been a long road. It was about 11 years in the making.
Wow. So you mind if I show your promo, your trailer?
Oh, please, for sure.
I'd be happy to. I just got it queued up. There we go. All right, let's share this here. All right, we're going to present this. Let's see, share screen. We're going to go to here. There we go. This is a great promo.
If we broke attendance records, I'd get the church logo tattooed on my arm.
Skip, remember back when we first started? All we did was preach the gospel.
Ooh, Superman works. I like Superman. Guy, what do you think?
What happened to you?
Me? Your dad is the one with the gimmicks.
The power of the Holy Spirit propels us.
I just went to church to get back to the gospel.
Problem is, you're trying to get your message across.
The gospel?
Right. And ain't nobody listening to that.
For Good Friday and Easter, I need something big. Amen?
Bigger than the resurrection.
Bigger than anything we've ever done. National headlines.
Preach on the death and resurrection of Jesus.
Bam! An actual crucifixion.
Uh-oh.
By placing the nails through your palms in the right place, we hope to avoid major nerve damage.
Operation Stop Skip is a go. That's awesome.
You have to cancel this Good Friday stunt.
Don't be so dramatic, honey. Ooh, I like the rusty ones.
What are you gonna do?
I told him he's insane. Been praying for you about that toe fungus. This could be beneficial for all parties involved.
We foster a yes environment here.
God wanted me to marry you and you could be my wife.
I have an answer for you.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. Collide Media Group, which is our distributor, oversaw the editing of that trailer, and that was edited by a very talented editor named Scott Edge. He's fantastic, and he knocked it out of the park. I mean, in my opinion, that trailer is better than a number of the trailers that are out there.
I totally agree. I've seen a lot of trailers, and that one was like knocked out of the park because you saw what was going to happen eventually, but you didn't know how it was going to happen,
And you
it
don't
was
and you don't
riveting.
know and you don't know how that you don't know if they're going to go through with it or if they're going to get out of
Right.
it or how do they get out of it. Yeah, he knocked it out of the park. So shout out to Scott Edge, incredible filmmaker and editor, and shout out to Collide Media Group in Tennessee, who is our distributor. We love them.
I bet you do. I saw the trailer and I had to get the movie. That's what I thought was like I was going to get it anyway, but I was really we sat down and watched it last night or the other night, all the way through nonstop, and it was beautiful. So it was right up our alley.
Did you get the DVD or did you watch it on
DVD.
streaming? Oh wow! Did you watch the making of?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, if you got the DVD, there's a behind the scenes, and you'll notice the actors and crew call it Youth Group, and it's even titled Youth Group because that's what we shot. That was the name of the original movie, was Youth Group.
Oh man!
And so we shot it under that. But yeah, there's a nice, I would say, 10 to 15 minute behind the scenes where you can see.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that.
That's on the DVD. That. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's a great reason to get the DVD is because there's behind the scenes on it.
And by the way, the DVD showed up the next day.
Wow.
On Amazon.
They are crazy fast, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Scary fast.
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for letting me know because I will be looking at that behind the scenes. And you know, like you got Joey Fatone. How'd you get him?
I didn't, but Thor Ramsey likes to say, well, when you have a budget, you'd be surprised at who you can get. But no, a couple of our other producers landed Joey Fatone and Donald Faison, who you also saw in that trailer, and they were actually, as far as the supporting cast, they were, I think, the last ones to come on. Going, I believe it was a holiday weekend. I'm trying to remember which. Oh, I think it was 4th of July weekend, and we didn't have them cast yet. Like they weren't locked yet, and so I forget which one, but we got one of them. I think the day before they were due on set, and I think we got the other one like a couple of days before they were due on set, or something like that. I mean, it was. We went into 4th of July weekend not having those roles locked. So
wow.
So yeah, it was really down to the wire with those two roles.
So as far as your
they were great.
Your actors are established actors, which makes a huge difference. And I can tell. I mean, just like Joey Fatone, I know he's a singer. He's going way back in the '80s, but he could act too. I mean,
yeah, and he's been in other films, My Big Fat Greek Wedding movies, and yeah, so he knows his way around the camera.
I did not know that, and my wife says, we were watching the trailer. She's like, I know him. Yeah. And China Phillips is like, no way.
Yeah,
Mamas and papas. That's
crazy. And did you know that China Phillips is actually married to William Baldwin, Billy Baldwin? They've been married for like 3 decades.
I did not know that.
Yes, they've been married for over 3 decades. Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we got them as we got them together. We got a special deal because they were together, and they were only on set for a little over half a shoot day.
Okay.
So I think they were there in the morning, and then we broke for lunch, and then we had to finish up some stuff after lunch, and then they were wrapped before sundown.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
and
talented.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie is that scene in the house. And that
yes.
was and that scene and the park where the swing sets are, those were very close to each other, and those were about 15-20 minutes away from the mega church that we shot the rest of the movie at, basically. So that was the one. Those were the 2 locations that were furthest away from the megachurch grounds. Was the house, which was co-producer Ryan O'Quinn's house, and
really?
and the park was our co-producer Ryan O'Quinn and his wife Heather. That was their house that we shot that scene in, and then I don't know, maybe 3 blocks away down the street was the park where Thor and Andriana are on the swing sets.
Yeah, I like the house where the parents are defending their child's decision. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
We
one of
were
my favorite
laughing.
scenes in the movie. I remember grinning ear to ear watching the monitors, behind the scenes during that scene. Like Billy and China nailed it. I mean, they nailed it, and so did Thor and Aaron. And shout out to Clancy McCartney, who played Blaze. I mean, like, they were all fabulous.
Yes.
And that scene, that scene is it's comedy gold.
It is. I love the acting.
One of my favorite lines: "Offering toast comes from within." And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to see the movie.
You got to see the movie. Absolutely, got to see this movie. I would love to promote this on my social media.
Well, please do promote it left and right, for sure, because a lot of people don't even know the movie exists, let alone have seen it. So, a lot of Christians don't even know it exists. So, I would love for, if you like it, share it. I say that to everybody watching and listening. If you like church people, share, because right now it's word of mouth. That's what's going to get it out in front of people.
I have I've got a link to some venues to send this to.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, and if
the trailer at least.
Yeah, and if you know any places too that would want to screen it, we actually when it released in theaters, it was through Fathom Events, and it was a 3-day event, and that was in 2021. And the closest it made it to that village I told you I grew up in, the closest it made it to there was Zanesville, Ohio.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
I was just there a couple weeks ago.
So it didn't make it to Coshocton, the city of Coshocton.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't make it to Coshocton, but last year the distributor allowed it to be screened there, and the Shelby Theaters in Coshocton allowed it to be screened there, and they have since said that they would be willing to show it every year as we approach Easter time, because it happens at a Good Friday service. So as we approach Good Friday, Shelby Theaters in Coshocton, Ohio, and our distributor have agreed to go ahead and let it play there. So my point in saying all that is, if you know of a theater or a church that would want to screen it, let me know. Hit me up on social media. Let me know, and we'll figure out a way to make it happen. And if it's feasible, Thor or I could either be there to answer questions afterwards, or we could do it via Zoom. That's what we did last year, or sorry, this year when it screened at in Coshocton. It was this year actually, like a few weeks before Easter, I think it was. It screened, and Thor and I came on Zoom on the movie screen afterwards. It was a little clunky because of the technology and the sound, and that was, ideally it would have been great if I could have been there in person, but it just wasn't feasible at that time it just wasn't feasible. But if it's feasible, if there's a budget for it or whatever, you could bring Thor or I out to the screening, and we'll answer questions afterwards. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Thor is also a comedian, so it might even be funny. So yeah. So share, get it in front of your pastors and church leaders, and if you have like a small theater that the theater owner for or whatever, see if they want to screen it.
So if we do this in front of a church audience, how does that work? Can we take a love offering or something from
So if you go to churchpeoplefilm.com, that's churchpeoplefilm.com, somewhere on that website is where you can license it to screen it. And the licensing fee is based on the size of the audience you anticipate being there. So obviously the smaller the group, the less the fee is. But as far as getting us out there or whatever. That has to do with each individual location's budget and whether or not they can afford to bring us out. But that's something that Thor and or I are totally available for if you'd like to do that.
So what's the name of the website?
Churchpeoplefilm.com.
Okay, right, I got it.
And somewhere on the site there'll be a page on how you can license it for screenings.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll work on this one.
Yeah.
I really like this film.
Or hit me up. You can go to my website and email me. My website's ChristopherShawnShaw.com. Or find me on social media at Director CSS is my handle on social media at Director CSS.
Okay.
And you can hit me up there and I can get you to the right people to see how we can make it happen.
That would be, my wife would have a cow if you and Thor showed up. So,
well,
that's
I mean,
awesome.
we'd love to. I mean, I'm very proud of this movie, and I love answering questions about it. So, bring us there. We'll answer questions.
Awesome. Okay, great. So how long did you say it took? 15 or 16 days to make this movie?
To shoot the movie, it was 20 days.
Okay.
And that was a little tight. I mean, when it comes to movies and TV, of course, depending on what the page calls for, it's approximately 5, 6, 7 pages a day that you shoot. And there were a couple of days where we were up to 8 pages or really close to 8 pages. So that was a tight day. And then there were a couple of days where, a particular talent would have to, hop on a flight somewhere or something. And so somebody would have to leave. And so it got scrunched. One of the biggest challenges on set was the schedule. Just time. I mean, and you'll hear A-list filmmakers like J.J. Abrams say, no matter what your budget is, you're fighting against time and money. I mean,
yeah, right.
I mean, and you're talking about somebody who, J.J. Abrams has made wasn't Star Wars like 200 or 300 million or something, 200 million to make, I think. So, but you're still dealing with, the sun still rises and sets at the same time,
Right. Yep.
no matter how much your budget is. So if you have an outdoor shoot and, you're still fighting time with the sunlight and stuff, you're still fighting, potentially weather conditions and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of things that are outside of your control. So 20 days is kind of tight, but we did it in 20 and yeah, we had it mostly edited. I think it was ready to present to distributors and stuff by the end of the year. We shot it in July, early August, and then by the end of the year, I think we were shopping it.
Wow, that's okay. So a lot of good things happen. You got the money, number one. You got it from a big guy that I respect, and I like I said, I was on a podcast with him a few years ago. Really nice guy. They treated him wrong and everything, but back then he was all good, right? So he had the heart enough to do this. I think that's great.
Yeah,
I think that, and it tells a lot about him too.
Yeah,
I've never seen that side of.
Shout out to Mike Lindell, definitely.
Yes, and then you got the actors. This blows my mind. I don't know how you did it, but
well, I didn't do it. We had producers. Steven Steven was our executive producer along with Mike Lindell. Because Steven was our connection to Mike Lindell. So he was an executive. Right. He was an executive producer. And then we had a producer, John McGalliard, who Steven and John are the ones who landed Joey Fatone and Donald Faison.
Right.
And of course, Steven is brothers with Billy Baldwin, William Baldwin,
right,
who's married to China Phillips. So,
gosh. Perfect story.
So there's 4 of the cast right there,
Yeah.
And then of course Steven decided he wanted to act in it. And fun fact, Steven came up with that character Chad that he played. Yes. He came up with that. He went out and shopped for the clothes for him. I mean, that that was his brainchild. And so yeah, he had a lot of fun with that role. But so there's 5 of the recognizable faces right there. And so, other people are, through maybe one of the other actors on set or whatever. And actually there were other recognizable faces whose names you might not know, but I mean,
Yeah.
Michael Monks, shout out to Michael Monks,
Yes.
who played Pastor Skip.
Mhm.
He is a veteran TV and film actor, decades. I mean, you'll see him, you'll be watching something and you'll say, that's Michael Monks,
Yeah.
and one of the earliest things, and I'd seen his face before, but what really put him on the map for me was I think it was in the 90s when he was a recurring regular on a show called The Practice
Mhm.
with Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, not Dermot Mulroney, the other one. I'm blanking on his name. Doggone it. So sorry. I blanked on his name.
That's
But
okay.
but Michael Monks played a recurring character for 4 seasons on The Practice. And
Wow.
back in the day, I lived in Southern California, and I actually was an extra on The Practice and got to
Really?
I met Michael Monks on The Practice. I don't know that he remembers this. Of course I remember it because it's Michael Monks. But and who was I, but yeah, I'm a child of God. That's who I am. But
Yeah, right. There you go.
but yeah, that's how I met Michael. But again, I think he, and there were 2 actors in the proof of concept trailer who ended up being in the movie, and that was Thor and Michael Monks. Michael Monks played Pastor Skip in our proof of concept as well. And it wasn't because I was connected to him or I met him on The Practice. It was he's an acting coach, and one of his students I knew through the 168 Film Project, and one of his former students, I think, and she's the one who connected us to him for the proof of concept trailer. So he, of course, didn't have to audition for that. He just came in and did it, and yeah, he ended up getting to play the role in the feature as well. So shout out to Michael Monks.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, and he's the one who connected us to Andriana Manfredi because she was a student of his.
Okay.
And Michael Monks was also our on-set acting coach. So he was Thor's coach on set. Because again, this is Thor's first feature-length film as the lead actor, and yeah, so Michael Monks was his acting coach.
And I could not tell. I thought he was a veteran actor. I didn't know at the time.
Well, he's done a lot of shorts.
Uh-huh.
Thor and I started doing short films for the 168 Film Project back in 2010.
Mhm.
That's when I first started collaborating with Thor, and when he first told me about his script youth group was in 2010 when we worked on a 168 Film Project short film. And for more information, by the way, about the 168, it's a fabulous experience. You create you bring together a team, you sign up, and you do a short film. It's fantastic. It's 168film.com. Go to 168film.com. They're about to have their festival this year. They've already done the competition, and their festival happens soon. I think it's in November, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. So go to the website and find out, 168film.com. But it's a fabulous experience. You can choose to do either a speed film where you have a certain number of days, 168 hours, which is 7 days, to shoot, edit, and turn in a finished short film. Or you can do a non-speed film if you're a returning producer who's done a speed film before. So there's different avenues to go with that. But it's a fabulous experience. And quite frankly, I can trace just about every project, including Church People, that I'm attached to, all the way back to participating in and attending the 168 film festivals.
Is that the thing you're holding in the promo, or is that something different?
Oh, the picture that you chose for the advertising, yeah, that was we won best alumni film that year, and I think I was holding the best alumni film because as a returning 168 producer, you can do something called an alumni entry because you're 168 alum, And once you sign up for that, you can start working on it. You don't have to wait for the 168-hour clock to tick down. You can start working on it once you sign up. And so that was an alumni entry that we did called Wireless.
Mhm.
And if you want to see it, it's a I call it a mob-com because it's a mobster comedy. So
I love it.
hashtag mob-com. I'll have to remember to send you that one.
Yeah, please do.
It's an unlisted link right now. So if anybody wants to see it, reach out to me and I'll send you a link where you can watch Wireless.
I like this. I like this conversation. I'm learning a lot. And
Thank you. I like this conversation too.
I could never guess how these things are done, and the skill and the effort you have to put into these things. It must be amazing. It must be
it's
a lot of pressure.
It's a collaborative team effort, and it's pretty much as good as the team you surround yourself with. So what we were talking before we came on this live stream, we were talking, and I was saying that one of the key factors in a collaboration, especially when it comes to filmmaking collaboration, is know what your expertise is and isn't. And the isn't part, you find the people whose expertise that is, and you surround yourself with those people in those roles. Some people, myself included, can have a tendency to take on roles that they're not best suited for. And so, and talking about the 168 Film Project, my very first 168 Film Project in 2008, this is before I met Thor. My very first one, I was the writer, the producer, the director, the lead actor, cameraman at times. I think I did craft services. And I think there was one other hat that I wore, like 7 different hats on this. Oh, I was the editor. So, because I do video editing as well. So I was the editor. So I wore like 7 different hats on my very first 168 Film Project. And then 2 years later, I did my second 168 Film Project. And I wore 2 hats. I was a producer and a director. And other people filled in the other gaps. And it was a night and day difference, both on my sanity and health and well-being and in the overall product. I mean, that film turned out significantly better than my first go at it. And part of the reason was I surrounded myself with people. I had help doing it, by the way, because I didn't know hardly anybody who ended up working on that. But I was surrounded by people who knew what they were doing in their respective fields. And that was my first collaboration with Thor Ramsey of many.
Know your limits.
Yes, know your limits. Absolutely. Know your limits and know what looks good and what sounds good, and find the people who can make it look and sound good.
Absolutely.
There's the key right there.
So let's see, tremendous patience. I don't know if I can see that here, but we have some comments. Tremendous patience.
I think if you click on the comments, they should show up on the screen.
These are in the private chat. That's the problem.
Oh, that's the private chat. Oh,
yes,
okay.
I don't know why it went to the private chat. Okay, that was Darren White. He is a pastor. He was a former pastor. He works where I work, and Dr. Andrew Knight is also on board. I think he's getting a church soon, and they just wanted to say hi, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, well, hi. Thanks for coming on.
Dr. Knight, say hello, sir.
How are you, Christopher?
Good, thank you, Dr. Knight. How are you, sir?
Outstanding, like a farm in his field. I'm glad to hear your story. That was great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Saw the trailer. Kevin shared the trailer with me, and it's a very interesting premise, I think, that I can glean from your trailer. That basically there's 2 ways to go about God's work: God's way or man's way.
Wacky man's way, yes.
And I think it's a great premise. it's a great premise. I'm sure it's a great many teaching moments in the rest of the movie, which I haven't seen yet. But
Definitely. Yeah, I'd love to hear your reaction when you see it. Hit me up and let me know what you think.
I told Kevin it was hilarious. The trailer was hilarious. I was cracking up.
Well, that's good. That's a good response. Some people, when they see the trailer, they don't know what to make of it, and they don't know if we're making fun of Christianity and Jesus' sacrifice or what. But I think if you follow the narrative,
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
yeah, if you follow the narrative of Thor Ramsey's character going, like, this is insane. Like, I'm trying to tell him, he's lost his marbles, If you follow his narrative, then you see that we're actually, shining a light on some of the wacky methodologies out there and bringing it home to the gospel is enough. And you don't need the bells and whistles on top of the gospel.
Was that supposed to be a father and son that were working together in that church?
No. Just a long time relationship between a senior pastor and the youth pastor.
Okay. But
Yeah,
they were back and forth about how to handle things, and there was obviously
yeah. So the senior pastor has these big, grandiose, misguided visions of how to fill the seats, basically, and the youth pastor feels like he's gotten stuck in the mega church branding and marketing machine, and he just wants to go back and preach the gospel like he used to, like you saw in the trailer. Like, remember when we first started, we just preached the gospel, and then it turned into this mega,
Well, I got to let you go, Dr. Knight. I'll get back to you a little later. So,
great.
Nice to meet you, Dr. Knight. Thanks.
Oops. There you go. Okay. So I'm gonna see. So this okay. That you guys were talking, something I picked up. Okay. This was. I mean, listen to his reaction. He only saw the trailer. I'm going to show this trailer to a couple of places and see what they think and if they'd be willing to do it. And I'll give them this information that you gave me. And I think it needs to go because that's what's going on. I mean, this is a thing that's actually happening now. You know what I mean?
I mean, in that scene with the youth pastor, the senior pastor, and the doctor, when they're in that conference room, when he says, "What you mean like what they do in Mexico and the Philippines?" I mean, there's people doing this. There's people who actually have actual crucifixions, but Jesus already did it. It's once for all time. He already did it. So yeah, it's not. I'm a little bit surprised that an American evangelical church hasn't tried to do a stunt like this. And actually, here's a fun story that you'll appreciate. So Thor had this script called Youth Group, and it didn't have the crucifixion element in it. It was just basically a day in the life of a church youth pastor, a mega church youth pastor, right? And so he was going back and forth with, he had a pitch meeting at Sony at one point, and he was going back and forth with somebody at Sony regarding script, like rewrites. Like he'd get notes and then Thor would do a rewrite, and then he'd get more notes and Thor would do a rewrite. And on one of their last note sessions, Thor was told, what you need to bring all these subplots and sub-characters together is a big idea at the end of the movie. You need some kind of a big idea event to bring them all together. And Thor's like, well, I don't know what that is, but I'll have my antennas out for a big idea, right? And so one day he gets he gets a call from his pastor friend who's a church planter. And he's like, you're never going to guess what this big, famous church is going to do for their Good Friday and Easter service. And Thor's like, what? What are they going to do? They're going to have a crucifixion. He's like, no way. He's like, I'm looking at their website right now. They're going to have a. So they actually investigated it, and it turns out that they weren't actually going to have a crucifixion, but it was going to be such such an intense, realistic version of a passion play that they had all these they had trigger warnings and stuff, like,
Wow.
faint at the sight of blood, or what. So they had all these trigger warnings. And so, but here's the clincher. For a moment, this church plant pastor and Thor thought that evangelicalism had gone so far that an American evangelical church was going to actually have a live crucifixion. And Thor goes, I've got my big idea. And from about draft 6 or so is when the crucifixion came to be that big event at the end that brings all the characters together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That was so brilliant. I never expected that to happen. Never in a million years.
Yeah. So that wasn't part of the original draft of the script even. It came about 5 or 6 drafts in.
But it says a lot. This is a huge message in my mind, that this is where we're going, sometimes up the wrong road, down the wrong road. And it's all about gimmicks and things like that. And just like, I love the message of this movie. Is it the gospel enough? This is a big message, in my opinion. This is huge. I know you already know that, but I'm like, wow, this is like action packed. I mean, it's so deep into
it truly is
situations. And just like, I've seen a little bit of your other stuff, and it's deep too. It's deep.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I was telling my wife, I said, look, watch this, look at this, look at this. This is so cool. But yeah, I think you do an excellent job in the movie. I can't wait to see all your other stuff you've done. And yeah, if you want to share that with me, or I can order more things if possible, if you have those out there. And
sure.
I think it's a ministry.
There's a lot of stuff that's on my YouTube channel. I think if you go to youtube.com/CSS301, don't ask me why I 301. That's just what it was when I created it. But it's youtube.com/CSS301. And that's my YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe, by the way. But yeah, there's a lot of shorts and goofy stuff on there. And if you go all the way back to like some of my first videos shot on standard definition camera, you'll see some one-man band stuff, like stuff where I basically set up the tripod and just started acting, So, but yeah, there's a lot of fun, quirky videos there, and there's a number of the 168 film projects that Thor and I and some others have done. So that's one place to see them. But the wireless one, the Mobcom, I'll have to send that to you via an unlisted link, because that's not public on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So if anybody, if any of you out there want to see a mobster comedy, hit me up and I'll send you a link.
There's no zombies, right?
There's no zombies in that one.
Okay, good.
But if you want to see a faith-based musical comedy with singing zombies that's currently in film festivals, hit me up and I can get you that link too.
Awesome. I watched that. I was like, wow, this is completely different, but I never thought it could be. It's amazing. That was amazing.
And that is the brainchild of Darren Cogan, our screenwriter and executive producer on that. He's fabulous.
Awesome. Well, we're at the end of our show, and I appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome. So I'll get back with you on other things, but
yeah, please do. Definitely stay in touch, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. And I'll tell my wife you said hi. Say hi.
Yeah. Hi,
Carolyn.
Hi, Mrs. White. Hi, Carolyn.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Great.
So thank you very much.
Bring me out to a church, and we'll talk church people.
I will look into that. I would love to. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is our show for tonight. And fascinating. Christopher Shawn Shaw. Was amazing how film industry works and how things came together. God put these together so that he could get this film out. And you got to see this. This Church People film is fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see it or show it in your church or somewhere in your organization, I think you would love it. It's a great program. So make sure you do that. And we're going to be up. Our view is going to be way up tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, as usual. And we're going to put this on the radio, and we're going to move on. So anyway, that is the end of the program. And now we get a chance to have a little bit of fun. Here we go. Oh, Christopher. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Christopher. So yeah, get out there. Watch this movie. Okay, yeah, I can put it right here. Here you go. Make sure you get out and watch this movie and everything else he has. So you see the website. Scroll across the bottom of the screen. Number one. And awesome. So I'm going to play this promo again. I'm going to put it on my page. I think you can see it. I think people would love to have that. So, all right. Yes, DVD. You can get the DVD in one day. Amazon does awesome. So there's also an affiliate link, it looks like. Yeah, go to the film address, churchpeoplefilm.com, plus Tubi, Roku. Oh, that's everywhere. Great American Pure Flicks. Let me know your reactions to the film. Will do. We will do that. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, Tom, thank you. Thank you very much, Tom McMillan. Maybe. Here we go again. Tom, thanks a lot. And also, Tom and Cheryl McMillan, awesome. Great people. Miss you guys. We're going to have a show next week, same time, or maybe not this time. Maybe it's going to be 7 o'clock. So make sure you're tuned for that. A lot of things going on here in this world. So also shout out to the White family, and also we also have people that we went to the funeral last Saturday. We drove all the way down to West Virginia. We came back, and wonderful woman passed away. Old school. Everything old school is valuable to me. So to the family, you know who you are. We're praying for you all. So anyway, that's the end of the show. You guys take care. God bless America. And do the right thing. Go see the movie now.